Imagine opening your history textbook and realizing it's been lying to you. Not lying like a crime thriller, but lying like that friend who says, "I'll be there in 5 minutes," and shows up an hour later. Today, we're talking about a people's history of the United States, a way of looking at history that flips the camera around, not on presidents, not on billionaires, but on ordinary people who actually lived it. Now think about how history is usually told. Big names, big portraits, big speeches. George said this, Lincoln did that, a general won a war. But let me ask you something simple. If history is a movie, why are 99% of the people just background extras? That's exactly the question this idea asks. A people's history of the United States is about workers, farmers, women, enslaved people, Native Americans, immigrants. Basically, the people who didn't have microphones, money, or monuments. The people who were busy surviving while someone else was writing the headlines. Let's rewind to the very beginning. When America was being discovered, the story usually goes like this. Brave explorers, new land, big dreams. But from the people already living there, it looked more like, who are these guys and why are they burning our homes? Native Americans weren't just quietly disappearing into the forest like a movie fade out. They resisted. They fought back. They negotiated. They were pushed, tricked, and forced out, not because they were weak, but because power was unequal. Now jump ahead to slavery. Traditional history might tell you slavery existed. Then one day, boom, freedom happened. But a people's history says, wait, freedom didn't fall from the sky like a lucky lottery ticket. Enslaved people resisted every single day. They slowed work. They ran away. They rebelled. They passed stories, songs, and hope like secret notes in class. Slavery didn't end because powerful people suddenly grew a conscience. It ended because millions of people refused to accept being treated as property. And here's the uncomfortable part. Even after slavery officially ended, inequality didn't. Now let's talk about workers, factories, railroads, mines, America's growth engine. But guess who paid the price? People working 12 to 14 hours a day, kids in factories instead of schools, dangerous conditions, low pay. When workers protested, they weren't called heroes. They were called troublemakers. Think about it. Today, we enjoy weekends, minimum wages, labor laws. None of that came from kindness. It came from strikes, protests, and people risking their lives just to say, this is not okay. A people's history reminds us that progress is rarely a gift. It's usually a fight. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and a little funny in a dark way. Governments often say, we're doing this for national security. But a people's history asks, for whose security? Wars are often sold as heroic adventures, flags waving, speeches booming. But on the ground, it's farmers losing land, families losing sons, civilians losing homes, while companies make profits and leaders gain power. History textbooks love winners. A people's history listens to the ones who paid the bill. And no, this doesn't mean everything about America is bad. It means the story is incomplete. It's like posting only your good selfies online and pretending bad hair days don't exist. Looks great. Not very honest. This way of telling history doesn't say, hate your country. It says, understand your country. Because when you know the struggles of ordinary people, you start seeing patterns. You notice how power works. You notice who gets ignored. And you start asking better questions. Who benefits? Who suffers? Who gets remembered and who gets erased? And here's the most powerful part. A people's history doesn't end in the past. It quietly asks you something. If history is shaped by ordinary people, then what are we doing right now that future history books will talk about? Silence? Resistance? Kindness? Courage? Because one day, someone might tell the story of our time. And the real question is, will we be just background extras or people who actually mattered? History isn't just about what happened. It's about who gets to tell the story. And now that you know this version, you can never read history the same way again. Subscribe to Mental Analysis, where studying is not a science, but an art, and you are a student of that art.